The Deputy Leader of the Opposition will cease objecting. Give the call to the Honourable Member for Swan.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. How is the Albanese Labor government helping in the fight against inflation? How does this compare to other approaches, and what does it mean for the budget?
Call to the Treasurer.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. What a great addition the member for Swan is to our team from the great state of Western Australia. The member for Swan knows, and we know, that Australians are under pressure, but more than acknowledging that fact, we are doing something about it. And 3 facts go to this, Mr Speaker. When we came to office, real wages were falling almost 3.5%. Now they're growing again. Inflation in quarterly terms was 2.1% when we came to office, now 0.6%. When we came to office, monthly inflation had a 6 in front of it. Now it has a 3 in front of it, Mr Speaker. And we'll get another monthly figure tomorrow. The monthly figures, as we know, are a bit less predictable, a bit more volatile, a bit less reliable than the quarterly figures. And whether the number tomorrow ticks up a little bit or ticks down a little bit, the direction of travel is very clear. We know that inflation is down substantially since its peaks in 2022, but we know that people are still under pressure. We know that we're making welcome and encouraging progress in the fight against inflation, but inflation is still higher than we'd like. And that's why our approach to inflation and to wages is so important. Now, Mr Speaker, we don't have an inflation problem in our economy because the lowest paid Australians are earning too much, Mr Speaker. We see decent wages growth as part of the solution to cost of living pressures, not part of the inflation problem. And that's why we think cost of living help and tax cuts should be in addition to, not instead of, a decent pay rise for minimum wage workers, Mr Speaker. Now, our cost of living policies are designed to put downward pressure on inflation. The ABS says we took about 0.5 percentage point off inflation last year as a consequence of our cost of living policies that those opposite voted against. And that meant, and I'm asked by the Shadow Treasurer right on cue, I'm very fortunate, Mr Speaker, he asked me about prices. Since the middle of last year, electricity prices have gone up about 3.5%. If they'd had their way, Mr Speaker, when they voted against our plan, electricity prices would have gone up more than 18%. Mr Speaker, when they voted against our cost of living help, they voted for higher inflation in our economy, Mr Speaker. Because of our efforts, inflation is coming down and wages are going up. And this helps ensure that people earn more and keep more of what they earn. And this is more important than ever in uncertain times, with our economy slowing and consumption flat and uncertainty in the world. And that's why, Mr Speaker, the focus on the next budget shifts a little bit but not a lot. Not away from what is responsible and what is affordable, but recognising that we've got this inflation challenge, but we've also got a growth challenge in our economy, and our fiscal strategy will shift a little bit as well as we have a bigger emphasis on investment in the drivers of future growth in the economy, Mr Speaker. Still a primary focus on inflation, but not a sole focus on inflation. The reason why the first 2 budgets were successful, Mr Speaker, is because they are aligned to the economic conditions, and the third one will be as well.
Member for Hume.